Hey, good morning, everybody. Today's today's activity is I'm going to run through real quick in just a few minutes the notes for chapter 17.2 and 17.3. And then just like yesterday, I'm going to give you a short little quiz, 10 questions just about the notes and what I talked about here. The big theme for this section is like what is capitalism and what is socialism. Um, the name of our economy, the name of our system of economy is capitalism. That's what we sort of have always had. And then another big idea, economically, another major economic philosophy or theory is what's known as socialism. There's a lot of debate right now about what's better, capitalism or socialism. There's actually a lot of components of a lot of ideas that are socialist ideas that are part of our economy, but we're mostly a capitalist economy. There's three common names for our economy. And if you use any of the three of them, capitalism, free enterprise, or laissez-faire economics, they're in essence all the same exact thing. Um, it's to sum up capitalism or free enterprise or laissez-faire economics. Laissez-faire is a French phrase which means sort of like let be, let do, hands off, something like that. The idea is that the government does not interfere in our lives, that as much as possible, they let us be. That if there's something that we can buy and we're allowed to buy it, we should be able to go out and buy the product. And that's what capitalism pretty much is. Kind of going through the notes here, there's five major characteristics that describe or define our economy. As I kind of already said, the idea of economic freedom. We're free to buy what we want, sell what we want. Number two, the idea of using the free market, which just sort of expands on that idea, where businesses are allowed to do sort of as they want. The third feature is the idea of voluntary exchange, meaning that we can choose whether to trade something or buy something or not to buy something. For instance, I if I'm not a fan of a particular person, I don't have to sell them something. Just because Trey Ayers may come up to my door, knock on it, and say, "I want to buy your car," I don't have to sell him my car. Um, the idea of voluntary exchange is that even though we do have economic freedom to sell stuff, we don't have to sell stuff as well, or we don't have to buy stuff. If we had more time and we're in the classroom, a good discussion point is whether or not forcing someone to buy something like car insurance is a violation of this voluntary exchange. I mean, if you think about it, when you turn 16, 17 years old, you get your driver's license, you buy a car. In order to have that car, you have to buy car insurance. If you don't buy car insurance, you could lose your car, you could lose your license. So it creates an interesting discussion point about whether or not car insurance is a violation of a capitalist principle. Beyond that, the last handful, I just realized there's six features. I didn't look at my notes clear enough. Six features of capitalism. The fourth one is the idea of profit motive, where businesses really only care about one thing, and that's making as much money as possible. If a business says that they care about you, they really don't. They just care that you give them money. They want you to think that they like you. And a lot of times you see businesses do things like sponsor little league teams, football teams. That's not because they might love football or they may love baseball. It's because they know that there's a lot of parents there that are watching kids play a sport and they're like, oh, that's so sweet. Fox's Pizza sponsored my son's little league team. Let's go to Fox's and buy pizza afterwards. They're going to make money off of that. Fifth is the idea of competition. This is a huge idea within our economic system. Competition is what breeds excellence. It forces businesses to lower prices for what they're selling, makes them sell better goods, makes them try to create new things, invent new things. If there was no car company, that competed with Ford. Ford would have no motivation to lower prices, make better trucks, or better cars, and we would see the same car forever. If there was one cell phone company, we would never see advancements in the cell phone industry. So competition is vitally, vitally important. And then lastly, the idea of private property rights. Private property rights, kind of a simple idea. It's that you're allowed to like own stuff that makes you you. There's two main sources of the capitalist idea. There are two groups of philosophers. In fact, three philosophers, but two of them work together. The first one is Adam Smith. He would write a book called The Wealth of Nations. He's a Scottish philosopher or economist, and he wrote really of two main ideas. The first one is the idea of self-interest, about people really only caring about the benefit of themselves. It's not within our nature to truly, like, really care about other people's well-being. If my neighbor starves to death, that's not really my problem. That's my neighbor's problem. If somebody's house down the street burns down, that's so sad for them, but I'm not going to let them live in my basement. I'm not going to just give them stuff. Self-interest is the idea of only doing what is best for you first. And then secondly, the idea of the invisible hand. This idea of self-interest sounds pretty evil. It sounds awful, but it's there. The invisible hand is this force that he would write about that would sort of make us incidentally do good things for others. So, for instance, if I'm a restaurant owner and I see a homeless man, maybe I might donate them a meal because it makes me look good. Yes, it's a good thing, and I've helped somebody out, but it's primarily so that I can look good within the community, and maybe people will buy more of my food because I donated one meal to a homeless person. The second group of philosophers, it's two, Thomas Malthus and David Ricardo. They're English economists. They would come up with the idea of comparative advantage. This was the idea that, quite frankly, if you're good at something, you should exploit that skill. You should take advantage of your superior skills. That, quite frankly, if you're wealthy, if you're smart, if you're hardworking, you should not feel bad about it, and you should not take it easy on people. To bring a sports metaphor in, if you are winning a basketball game 80 to nothing, you shouldn't pull the starters. Keep the starters in, run the score up. The other team will either get better or they'll die, or in this case, lose. This is sometimes referred to as economic Darwinism. That, quite frankly, if you're not smart enough, if you're not good enough, you will struggle. You will get taken advantage of. And this is one of the leading arguments against raising minimum wage. Is if you raise minimum wage, what it does is it creates this idea that people should be satisfied with working a minimum wage job. Minimum wage jobs have oftentimes been argued should be low paying because people shouldn't be happy with those types of jobs and that they should strive to do more with their life. So I'm going to skip this circular flow model because I never care about it. Um, this slide here, you can read it. It might be useful for the test. I don't know. And I wanted to get to this slide here. How is socialism different from capitalism? To define socialism real quick, socialism is a political and economic theory that advocates or pushes the means of production, the resources, the distribution and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. In other words, the government or society owns and controls all aspects of the economy. In a true socialist economy, you can be told by the government what to buy, when to buy, how to buy it. If you have too much money, your money can be taken from you, and given to other people. The goal is to create this like ultimately communal society where we all sort of live happy and nobody is rich, nobody's poor. The government owns everything and gives to people who need something and takes from people who have too much of something. There is a loss of economic freedom here. Um, there is this heavy Robin Hood idea that, quite frankly, that the rich are dangerous and that we should take from them to give to poor people who are struggling. So that's about it. There is in Google Classroom, along with this video here, 10 question quiz. Take it. Goodbye.